Hello and welcome to CRIVLOG TV, where we make sense of the human mind. My name is Aerez Batat, and in this video I'm going to list 5 reasons why some people find it so hard to quit the use of cannabis. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back. My name is Aerez, and I'm an author, a metaphysicist, a consciousness researcher, and the founder of Consciousness Research Institute, where I explored the impact of cannabis on the mind for about a decade. Cannabis dependency is not like any other dependency. It's very mental. He who has not experienced it does not know. It's the same as he who has not experienced smoking cannabis doesn't know what it's like. And there's a lot of people out there going to tell you what cannabis is and what cannabis is not, and have never actually held a joint in their lives. And it's kind of a pet peeve for people who smoked because, you know, it's one of those things that you actually have to experience in order to be able to be knowledgeable about. And there's a lot of that happening in cannabis research nowadays. Academia, there's a lot of people who research the substance under the microscope. And researching cannabis under the microscope, trying to understand how cannabis impacts the mind, is like, without ingesting it, is like trying to learn how to make love using an instructional video. Sure, you're going to know what to do, but you're not going to know why you're doing it or how to do it well. And there's things that happen when we actually smoke cannabis that only if we smoke we actually know. Cannabis impacts the way we reason, the way we use our imagination. For example, how can somebody who researches cannabis under the microscope realize that our thought pattern becomes more grandiose, or that time becomes slower or faster, depends on the strain? There's no way to know that, because the knowledge is limited to what happens under the hood. And so it just doesn't fly this way. And so there's a lot of impact and a lot of side effects, a lot of things that happen that are causing people to have a hard time quitting smoking cannabis. And I've used cannabis for about 10 years. I still use it on occasion, but I have a very different relationship with the substance than I used to have. I used to have dependency, and I had to restructure my relationship to it because not only I enjoy the substance, but also I was using it as a tool for my research, and I just didn't want to throw the baby with the bathwater. So let's begin. The first reason why it's so hard to quit smoking cannabis is because we love ourselves more when we smoke. There's something that happens when we ingest THC that we connect with our true essence. And whatever we don't like about ourselves on a regular basis is just evaporates. And we appreciate ourselves more. And it could be that we no longer have the anxiety. It could be that we see ourselves in a different light. But something happens, and it's very hard to let go of this substance that allows us to appreciate ourselves in a way that is very hard for us to get to when we don't have the substance. And so if you find that you love yourself more when you're smoking cannabis, that might be one of the reasons why it's hard for you to let go. The second reason why it's hard to let go is because of mood swings. Cannabis shifts the electromagnetic polarity of our mind. And as a result, it actually shifts the way we relate to the environment. And it causes mood swings when we stop. Just for everything that goes up must come down. And when we smoke THC, we get blissful. A lot of strains are causing euphoric sensations. And so when we stop smoking cannabis, we have a little bit of a swing, or a lot of swing. People who suffer from bipolar tendencies, people who have suicidal tendencies, find that when they try to quit cannabis, these tendencies actually increase dramatically, and they're afraid. And so it doesn't matter if you suffer from it to a small extent and to a large extent. There is some kind of a mood swing that happens when we stop smoking cannabis, and that can be a good enough reason for many people to not stop. We need to develop tools in order to deal with that mood swing and pass a particular hurdle, pass a particular amount of time until it goes away. But for a lot of people, this is very hard, especially if they need to function and they don't want people around them to see them in a particular emotional situation. Maybe they have to perform at work, and so they just prefer to continue to smoke in whatever capacity they do. And if you're one of these people, know that it's very common, and it's understandable, but there are solutions in order to alleviate that. The third reason why it's so hard to quit cannabis is because when we smoke cannabis, we become a slightly different person, and with some people, a significantly different person. As I said before, cannabis shifts the electromagnetic polarity of the mind, and so it causes us to see things from a different perspective. I'm not going to go into the mechanics right now, but it's almost a situation where we see reality from a particular perspective when we don't smoke, and then when we smoke, it's just like we're a different person. Maybe we see reality from a bird's eye view. Maybe we become the storyteller. But there is a different perspective in terms of our values, in terms of our beliefs, in terms of the way we address reality. A lot of people are a lot more spiritual when they smoke. And when they don't smoke, they lose that connection to that spiritual place within us. So there's a lot of differences that happen. And over time, when we use cannabis habitually for a long amount of time, we literally develop these almost two people, two personalities, not a split personality, God forbid, but two personalities. The personality that I have when I don't smoke, which again, like I said, the first reason we don't like that much, and the personality that I have when I smoke. And what happens, all the reasons for us to stop smoking sort of evaporates when we smoke. We have all these reasons and all these things that we want to do, and we have all this motivation, and then we stop smoking and the motivation goes away, or we start smoking and then all the reasons to stop smoking evaporate as well. And so there's this swing between these two type of personalities within us, and it's causing us this turmoil, this struggle within that prevents us from stopping. Because in order to stop, we need to make a decision, we need to stick to it. And so by smoking, we're actually, oh, I've decided to stop. Now I don't want to stop. Oh my God, it feels so good. Why should I stop, right? And so that swing is contributing to that inner struggle. And we find it really, really hard to just stick to that decision and quit. The fourth reason that it's so hard to quit is because when we stop smoking cannabis, we're actually left with the reason we started smoking to begin with. For me, it was a few reasons, but one of them was anxiety. And so when I stopped smoking cannabis, I had to deal with my anxiety. And in the beginning, it was really, really hard because I got used to the fact that when I feel anxiety, I can just smoke and the anxiety just evaporates like magic. And that's really an amazing thing about cannabis. But how can the same substance cause anxiety and also eliminate it? That's interesting, right? Well, we talked about that electromagnetic polarity and that swing. And so it really depends where you are and what strain you're smoking. But for those of us who smoked cannabis because of anxiety, or for those of us who smoke cannabis because we don't like ourselves, or for those of us who smoke cannabis because we wanted to be more creative at work, or for those of us who smoke cannabis because we had social anxiety, whatever the reasons we had to actually pick up the joint or, light the pipe or, ingest the edible is still there when we stop. And that's good enough reasons for many people to say, hey, I'm not going to stop because I don't know how to deal with that. And if you're one of these people, I want you to know that you're not alone. And it's extremely common. The fifth reason why it's so hard to quit smoking cannabis, to quit consuming it, is because many of us don't want to throw the baby with the bathwater, like I said in the beginning. We don't want to use the tool. Cannabis has so many things it can help us with. It has a lot of value in our lives, not only medicinally, physically, physiologically for some people. And I'm not talking specifically about CBD right now, but also THC, but also mentally. It can teach us emotional intelligence. It can expand our consciousness. It can help us, like I said, with emotional anxiety, with social anxiety, so on and so forth. I mean, if you're smoking cannabis, you know. So if we say, hey, I've developed this habit, now I have to quit, I'm also losing the tool. It's like a kid who's eating all the candy and the parents say, no more candy for you, right? If you abuse it, you lose it. And so what we really want, most cannabis users, we don't want to lose the tool. We want to lose the habitual use. We want to lose the habit. We want to use it as a tool, not as a crutch. And that's hard. In order to do that, we have to completely transform our relationship to the substance and regain authority and command so that we control the substance and the substance does not control us. And if you're one of these people, or if you are identifying with any of these reasons that I've listed of why it's so hard to quit cannabis, then you might enjoy and you might benefit from Consciously High. It's a 28-day journey designed to eliminate your cannabis dependency that I've created. It's video guided online, and it includes a 3-week tolerance break. So if you actually want to take a tolerance break and feel like you can't quite do it on your own, this is a real great opportunity. You can do it while being guided. And there's also a Facebook group you can join and have some community support. So if you feel like such a thing can help you, check it out on weedoutthehabit.com. And regardless, I hope that if you have any cannabis dependency, you'll overcome it as fast as possible. And I wish you all the best.